If redemption means anything, why am I still going to die for a crime I'd never commit again?
Karla Faye Tucker spent 14 years on death row, her life hanging in the balance. To understand how she ended up there, we must rewind to the beginning, where a troubled path took root. And if you're watching, please like and subscribe to be part of our growing community. Karla Faye Tucker was born on November 18, 1959, in Houston, Texas, the youngest of three NEU sisters. Her father, Larry, was a longshoreman on long hours on the Gulf of Mexico, while her mother, Carolyn, chased a wild life as a groupie, often lost to drugs and fleeting romances. Their marriage was a battleground, filled with fights and fleeting reconciliations, until it crumbled when Karla was 10. During the divorce, Karla learned a painful truth. Larry wasn't her biological father. She was the result of her mother's affair, a revelation that left her feeling like an outsider in her own family. Growing up in a middle-class Houston neighborhood, Karla's early years had moments of normalcy, family trips to the bay for fishing and water skiing, but those faded fast as her parents' chaos took over. By age 8, Karla was already smoking cigarettes and sneaking marijuana with her older sisters, who bribed her with drugs to keep her quiet. Her mother's lifestyle pulled her deeper into trouble. Carolyn, a heavy drug user, introduced Karla to a world of rock bands and reckless living. By 12, Karla was using heroin, cocaine, and speed, following her mother's path as a groupie for bands like the Allman Brothers and the Eagles. School became an afterthought. She dropped out in the 7th grade, her education cut short as she sank into addiction. Karla's childhood was a maze of neglect and bad influences. Her mother got her into prostitution at 14, a grim milestone that marked her descent into a life of crime. She learned to survive in a world of drugs and violence, her toughness growing alongside her pain. At 16, she married Stephen Griffith, a biker who matched her wild streak. They fought hard and partied harder, collecting guns and joining motorcycle clubs. Their marriage was stormy, filled with fistfights and fleeting thrills, ending in divorce just before Karla's life took its darkest turn. These early years, marked by a broken home, drug addiction, and a search for belonging, built a young woman hardened by her circumstances, setting the stage for the choices that would define her fate. Lynn Dean and Deborah Thornton were the victims of Karla Faye Tucker's crime. Their lives tragically ended in a single chaotic night. Jerry, 35, was a Houston native, a motorcycle lover with a big personality, loud, loyal, and always ready to help a friend fix a bike. He worked as a contractor, scraping by with dreams of opening his own chopper shop. His brief romance with Karla, part of Houston's gritty biker scene, had soured, leaving bad blood. Deborah, 32, was a warm, hard-working secretary and mother of two, known for her kind smile and love of country music. She was at Jerry's apartment that night by chance, reconnecting as friends after their divorce, unaware of the danger looming. On June 13, 1983, in a working-class Houston neighborhood, Karla Faye Tucker and her boyfriend Daniel Garrett set out to confront Jerry Dean. Karla's resentment toward Jerry had been building for weeks. She believed he'd spread rumors about her, stolen from her, and damaged her motorcycle, a personal betrayal in her eyes. High on methamphetamine, cocaine, and alcohol after days of partying, Karla and Daniel decided to steal Jerry's motorcycle parts as revenge. Around 3 a.m., under a sticky Texas night sky, they drove to Jerry's small apartment on Watonga Boulevard, a quiet street lined with modest homes and apartment blocks. They carried a flashlight, a hammer and a pickaxe, expecting a quick in-and-out theft. The apartment was dark, the only sounds the hum of a window air conditioner and distant traffic. Jerry's place was cluttered with motorcycle parts, tools and empty beer cans, reflecting his laid-back lifestyle. He and Deborah were asleep on a mattress on the living room floor, side by side, exhausted from a night of talking and drinking. Karla and Daniel slipped in through an unlocked back door, moving quietly to avoid waking anyone. Their plan was to grab the motorcycle parts from Jerry's workbench in the corner and leave. But as they rummaged, a floorboard creaked, and Jerry stirred, mumbling in his sleep. Karla froze, recognizing Jerry's face in the dim light of her flashlight. Her anger flared, fueled by drugs and weeks of pent-up rage. Instead of sticking to the plan, she gripped the pickaxe tightly, her heart pounding. She later said she felt a rush, like something else was driving her. She raised the pickaxe and brought it down on Jerry's head with force, the first blow landing with a sickening thud. He gasped, trying to roll over, but Karla struck again, hitting his skull and chest, each swing deliberate and fueled by her grudge. Blood spread across the mattress as Jerry's movements stopped. Deborah woke to the noise, her eyes wide with terror. She tried to scream, scrambling to get up, but Karla turned on her. In a panic, Karla swung the pickaxe, striking Deborah's shoulder and chest. Deborah raised her arms to shield herself, pleading, but Karla kept swinging, the heavy tool tearing into her. Daniel, caught up in the chaos, grabbed the hammer and joined in, hitting Deborah to ensure she couldn't fight back. The attack lasted only a couple of minutes, but it was relentless. When it was over, Jerry and Deborah lay lifeless, the room silent except for Karla and Daniel's heavy breathing. Karla's motives were personal and muddled by her drugged state. She wanted to hurt Jerry to make him pay for what she saw as betrayal, stealing from her, tarnishing her name in their tight-knit biker circle. The motorcycle parts were an excuse, her real aim was revenge. Deborah's death was unplanned, a consequence of being there, caught in Karla's fury. After the killings, Karla and Daniel grabbed a few motorcycle parts, a carburetor, some tools, and fled in their truck, leaving the apartment door ajar. They drove back to their trailer, adrenaline fading as the reality of what they'd done set in. The crime scene at Jerry Lynn Dean's apartment was a grim puzzle for Houston police. On the morning of June 13, 1983, a friend of Jerry's stopped by to borrow a tool and found the door slightly open. Inside, he discovered Jerry and Deborah Thornton lifeless on the blood-soaked mattress, the pickaxe still embedded in Deborah's chest. The room was a mess, motorcycle parts scattered, a flashlight left on the floor, and blood splattered across the walls. Police were called immediately, and the investigation began with urgency. Detectives noted the brutality of the attack, suggesting a personal motive rather than a random robbery. The pickaxe, a rare weapon, stood out as a key piece of evidence, hinting at an impulsive or rage-driven act. Investigators canvassed the neighborhood, talking to Jerry's friends in the biker community. Several mentioned Karla Faye Tucker, who'd been vocal about her feud with Jerry over a motorcycle and personal slights. Her name came up repeatedly. She'd been seen arguing with him at a local bar days before. Police also learned Karla was living with Daniel Garrett, a known figure in Houston's drug and biker circles. A tip from a bartender pointed them to Karla's trailer where she and Daniel were staying. Detectives searched the trailer on June 20th, finding motorcycle parts matching those stolen from Jerry's apartment and a pair of boots with traces of blood later linked to the victims through early DNA testing. The pickaxe's unique markings also matched wounds on the bodies, tightening the case. On June 25, 1983, police moved in to arrest Karla and Daniel at their trailer in a rundown Houston suburb. They didn't run. Karla was sitting on the couch high on methamphetamine when officers knocked. Daniel, bleary-eyed, opened the door and surrendered without a fight. Both were taken into custody, their demeanor calm but detached, as if the weight of their actions hadn't fully hit. At the station, Karla initially denied involvement, claiming she and Daniel were at a party that night. But under pressure and with the physical evidence mounting, she broke. In a chilling confession, Karla admitted to the killings, describing how she struck Jerry with the pickaxe out of anger and turned on Deborah when she woke up. Daniel confessed too, corroborating her story, though he claimed Karla led the attack. During her interrogation, Karla made a shocking claim that would later haunt her case. She told detectives that as she struck Jerry and Deborah with the pickaxe, she felt a rush, describing it as an intense, almost euphoric sensation, likening it to an orgasm. This statement, recorded in police reports and later leaked to the media, painted Karla as remorseless, fueling public outrage. While she didn't repeat this claim in court, it became a focal point for prosecutors who used it to argue her lack of humanity at the time of the crime. The trial began in April 1984 at the Harris County Courthouse. Prosecutors presented a strong case: the bloodied boots, stolen motorcycle parts, the pickaxe, and both confessions tied Karla and Daniel to the murders. Witnesses, including friends of Jerry's, testified about Karla's grudge, while forensic experts confirmed the blood evidence. Karla's defense argued her drug addiction clouded her judgment, but the jury was unmoved, especially by her confession's graphic detail. After a swift deliberation, Karla and Daniel were convicted of capital murder. Karla was sentenced to death and Daniel received a life sentence due to his lesser role. The case came together through meticulous police work, witness tips, physical evidence, and Karla's own words sealed her fate, landing her on Texas's death row. Karla Faye Tucker's life on death row began in 1984 at the Mountain View Unit in Gatesville, Texas, a stark concrete facility surrounded by barbed wire and rolling hills. Karla, now in her mid-20s, was one of the few women on Texas's death row housed in a segregated wing. Her days followed a rigid schedule: wake up at 5 a.m., meals in her cell, and limited recreation in a fenced yard. She spent hours reading, writing letters, and staring at the cinderblock walls, the weight of her sentence ever present. Early on, Karla was defiant, her tough exterior shaped by years of drugs and violence. Guards described her as sharp-tongued but not aggressive, keeping to herself while adjusting to the monotony.
You're not executing a murderer. You're executing a woman who spent every day since that night trying to undo her sins.
Over time, Karla's behavior shifted dramatically. Around 1986, she found religion after a prison ministry group left a Bible in her cell. She began studying Christianity, attending chapel services when allowed, and praying daily. Karla claimed she experienced a profound change, expressing deep remorse for the murders of Jerry, Lynn Dean, and Deborah Thornton. In letters and interviews, she spoke of her guilt, saying she saw the victims' faces in her nightmares and wished she could undo the pain she caused. She formed bonds with some guards who noted her sincerity, though others remained skeptical, seeing her transformation as a bid for sympathy. She also connected with other inmates, sharing her faith and offering comfort, though death row's isolation limited these interactions. Karla filed multiple appeals, arguing her drug addiction and youth at the time of the crime warranted leniency. Her legal team highlighted her rehabilitation, but the courts, citing the brutality of the murders, rejected her pleas. As her execution date approached, Karla's faith became her anchor. She read scripture, wrote to supporters, and prepared for what she called going home to God. Her case drew attention, with activists and even some religious leaders urging clemency, but the victims' families and prosecutors held firm, pointing to her chilling confession and the savagery of the crime. On February 3, 1998, Karla faced her final day. She woke early in her cell, the morning light filtering through a narrow window. She spent the hours praying and reading Psalms, her Bible worn from years of use. Her brother, her sister, and a close friend, a prison minister named Dana Brown, whom she married by proxy in 1995, visited her in a small room with a glass partition. They shared tears and quiet words, Karla reassuring them she was at peace. For her last meal she requested a simple spread, a banana, a peach and a garden salad with light dressing, a far cry from the heavy meals often chosen. She ate slowly, savoring the flavors, and thanked the guard who brought it. At 6 p.m., Karla was led to the execution chamber at the Huntsville unit, known as the Walls, a red brick fortress in Texas's prison heartland. Dressed in a white jumpsuit, her hair tied back, she walked calmly, her face serene. Inside the chamber, a sterile room with green tiles, she was strapped to a gurney, her arms extended for the IV lines. Witnesses, including Deborah Thornton's brother and media representatives, sat behind a glass window. Karla turned to them and spoke her last words. "I am so sorry for what I did. I hope you find peace and I pray for forgiveness. I love you all." Her voice was steady, her eyes meeting those of the witnesses. The execution began at 6:38 p.m. by lethal injection, the standard method in Texas. A cocktail of sodium thiopental, pancuronium bromide, and potassium chloride flowed through the IV. Karla's breathing slowed, her eyes fluttered closed, and at 6:45 p.m., she was pronounced dead. The room was silent, the weight of the moment heavy for all present. Karla's supporters grieving her loss, the victims' families grappling with a complex mix of relief and lingering pain. Karla Faye Tucker's life and execution leave us with a story that's as complex as it is tragic. From a childhood steeped in neglect and addiction, to a brutal crime that took 2 lives, to her transformation on death row, her journey forces us to wrestle with questions of justice, redemption, and the human capacity for change. Her remorse and faith won her supporters who believed she deserved mercy, yet the pain of Lynn Dean and Deborah Thornton's families underscored the lasting scars of her actions. Her execution in 1998, one of the first for a woman in Texas in over a century, sparked debates that still echo today. Karla's final words spoke of regret and love, but they couldn't undo the past or fully heal the wounds she caused. What do you think? Can someone truly change after committing such a horrific crime, and should that change influence their punishment? Is the death penalty a just response to murder, or does it close the door on redemption? Did Karla's transformation seem genuine to you, or was it a product of her circumstances? Share your thoughts. Where do you stand on Karla Faye Tucker's story? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.